Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. I'm recording this video right after recording my post-game recap for the first day of the play-in tournament. This video is of course about who would win in the final play-in for the Eastern Conference between the Wizards and the Pacers. Decided to make this video for this channel because I don't think a play-in preview for one game is really main channel worthy. Also, I should say real quick that at the end of that post-game recap, I said that the matchup would be the Celtics versus the Pacers, and it's not. It's the winner. The winner of that of the Celtics Wizards game gets the 7th seed. So the Celtics are the 7th seed now. That's just a brain fart on my end. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and drop a like. But with that out of the way, let's talk about this matchup. So Wizards versus Indiana Pacers. Initially, I would go Wizards on this one. However, after the games that I saw today, I was going to say yesterday, it will have been yesterday by the time this video is out. The games that I saw were, I guess technically it was yesterday when I did the post-game recap, because the game ended at like 11 something and the post-game recap came out at like 12:15, so whatever. So this game, Wizards versus Pacers, I was not believing much in the Pacers in this one, and then they went and scored 144 points. Now, I don't think that's going to happen again, but they did make me question if I was underestimating the team, especially when both Sabonis and Brogdon are going to play. Caris LeVert is not going to be playing. There's no other major players that I think are going to be joining back in. Maybe Jeremy Lamb. I don't remember what his exact injury was, but it didn't seem big, so maybe. But that's not a huge difference maker. Maybe Aaron Holiday, once again, not a huge difference maker. I'd rather just have Brogdon and TJ McConnell, who was great in that game yesterday, or like 2 hours ago for me. Anyways, so for that game, my first gut instinct still says the Washington Wizards, but I could be underestimating the Pacers on that one. As for some individual matchups, this is not as important in just a single game, because a player can win a matchup even if they wouldn't win it over a 7-game series in just one game very often. So Sabonis is going to go against Washington's trio of centers of Alex Len, fucking Robin Lopez, and the guy who should be getting much more minutes but isn't, Daniel Gafford. Assuming Daniel Gafford does get the majority of the chunk of those minutes, I think he should be fine versus Sabonis. Sabonis is a little bit more skill and finesse than he is power, but he's not like a stretch big much. He's a good mid-range shooter, but his three-point shot is I think Gafford would be a solid matchup there. Russ on Brogdon, if Russ puts in the effort defensively, which I think he would in this specific game, I think he's going to put all of his effort on the table here. That shouldn't be a big problem. So I do think the matchup from a defensive perspective, the Wizards actually should be fine, especially because the Wizards have been a good defensive team ever since the trade deadline. Like, they became a top 5 defense since then. I think at one point they were like the second best defense. It might have dropped, might have not. I'm not sure. As for an adjustment, I'd like to see the Wizards do Rui Hachimura. It was partially foul trouble, which I did not notice. That's one of the negatives of not playing the games with audio on it. You don't really pick up on when players are in foul trouble, and I didn't do that, and I complained about his minutes, but still, he should have played more minutes even with that foul trouble in that game. And defensively, I think it'd be impactful there. He's not bad as a help defender. His defensive talent and defensive intelligence can sometimes waver, and it makes me question, how good of a defender are you really? Because he has good moments and he has bad moments, but more recently it's mostly good moments. So I'd like to see him get more opportunity. Hopefully Davis Bertans doesn't have a terrible shooting game like he did versus the Celtics, and really hopefully the Wizards in general don't have a terrible game shooting wise, because Bradley Beal shot 40%, Russell Westbrook shot 33%. It was just an inefficient night for the Wizards as a whole. But I do have them as my pick. As for the Pacer side of things, like I said, Sabonis, he's fantastic. He's really just, in a way, Sabonis is almost like a B- C+, like Nikola Jokic, which is he scores like 20 something points per game in the post, and he's also a really good passing big man. Now, he is not generational talent passer, but he is a very, very good passing big man, no doubt about that. And he really tore apart the Hornets with his passing in that game. A lot of backdoor cuts, things like that, or backdoor passes to the cutters, things like that. Found shooters where it was appropriate, which was very often in that game because there were multiple threes in that one, especially early. So I think he's going to play just fine for Indiana, and Malcolm Brogdon should be fine. Although Malcolm Brogdon can be inconsistent with his jump shot. Generally speaking, he's a good shooter, but sometimes he'll have games where it's pretty rough. I remember last season, I think he's up to 40% from three this year, but I know last season he had a rough go of it percentage-wise from three, so he could have a rough shooting night, could not. TJ McConnell being good off of the bench is kind of a consistent thing with the Pacers. Sometimes he's just okay or really good. There's not a whole lot of bad TJ McConnell games, and assuming he does that, assuming Doug McDermott and Justin Holiday hit their three-pointers, things like that. This is not going to be as much a defensive-minded, game. If I'm going to pick a team to win, though, and really the reason I lean Washington is that Washington, as weird as it is to say because they were so bad defensively early in the year, they're a better defensive team than the Pacers without Miles Turner. With Miles Turner, I don't know what the defensive rating says, but I'd definitely say at least for the Wizards as a whole, maybe not post All-Star break Wizards, which, to be fair, are two very different teams. And I saw someone getting on a Funky Diabetic on Twitter because he had a video titled "The Wizards are the worst team in the NBA" when they were one of the worst teams in the NBA, and then later made a video called "I'm scared of the Wizards" when the Wizards were a lot better. Like, it's okay to acknowledge that the Wizards sucked to start in the year and they were good now. That's two different things. Time passes, whatever. Side tangent. But defensively, the Wizards are a lot better this second half of the season post All-Star break, and they have been good defensively. And really, if they just had a pretty good shooting game, even with Jason Tatum dropping 50, I'm pretty sure that the Wizards actually win that Celtics game. It's just everybody shot poorly, pretty much, except for like Ish Smith, and also fucking what's his name? Oh my God, Rui Hachimura. But assuming that their offense is much better this game against the Pacers, which I assume it will be, and assuming their defense is much better than the Pacers' defense is, which I'm pretty confident, almost certain it will be, I'm going to give the Wizards the edge on this one. But the important factor to consider with a play-in situation is it's literally one game. Anything can happen in one game. For some reason, fucking TJ McConnell could have 40, or the Brissett guy that I just mentioned, or Brissett, I think it might be, he could just have a 30-point game out of the blue. Domantas Sabonis could have a 30-point triple-double. Anything is possible. Justin Holiday could hit 7 3-pointers. Anything is possible. So a prediction on one game is not as important. It's a series in general where predictions can become more valid. But I'm going to lean towards Washington in this one, just simply from the fact that I think they are a better team. I think they have the energy going their way. They were really killing it to close out this year. Bradley Beal's injury could be a concern. Not could be, it's definitely a concern. But assuming he's a little bit better with it this time around, because he was struggling a little bit in that Celtics game because of the injury, assuming he is just pretty good, like let's say he puts up 25 on good efficiency, that'll probably get the job done, assuming Russell Westbrook does not shoot terribly like he did in the Celtics game. Like I said, Wizards shooting was so bad in that Celtics game. Assuming they get that figured out, and the defense is as good as it can be, and the Pacers don't have some outlier role player performance or anything like that, or some crazy Sabonis or Brogdon performance, I think the Wizards win that game, and I hope they do, because I like the Wizards more than the Pacers, and I think they're just a more fun first-round matchup versus the Philadelphia 76ers. I could actually see a complete nightmare scenario for the Sixers where, for some reason, the Wizards actually upset them. But that would, maybe not with Bradley Beal's injury, but I don't know the severity of it. Maybe that'll be figured out by the time the first round's actually started, which is on this weekend. It might be a couple-day injury. I don't fucking know. But yeah, that I would prefer the Wizards win just because I think they're a more entertaining basketball team. I'm going to lean towards them because I also think they're a better basketball team, at least for what they have been in the second half of the season. Also, the Pacers, like, there's so much internal drama going on right now that I don't even know that Pacers fans really care about making the playoffs. So, yeah, that's something that I haven't talked about, but it's something. Their coach is apparently a massive dickhead. But anyways, my pick, Washington Wizards. I think just simply from the fact that they're a better defensive team. I don't think there's any strong X's and O's things from really either of these teams. Like the Wizards have Scott Brooks coaching them, and he's not a great X's and O's coach. There was a meme for so long about when he was the coach of the Thunder, like offensive game plan, give ball to KD and Russ, and that pretty much summarizes him now. Now it's Beal and Russ, and the Pacers thing is a whole can of worms. But yeah, that's it. That's my prediction. Goodbye.